Coming up on Break It Down with Brian H. Am I supposed to believe that Jon Moxley will lose his AEW World Championship this Saturday? And do WWE finally have things in order? Will we finally see things going in the direction they had hoped for after WrestleMania originally as planned? All this and more on this episode of Break It Down with Brian H.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just gonna keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Break It Down with Brian H. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. Make sure you go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Brian H. Waters. And of course, if this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button right down below. Make sure you turn on the bell notifications. That way you are notified each and every time the Wrestling Realm drops new content. And make sure you share this with your friends. And guess what? Just to let you know, you may say, well, I'm on YouTube today, but I want to listen to the show when I'm in my car or while I'm at work or while I'm working out. I got you covered. This show is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora Podcasts, and Podbean. You name it, we are there. And if you go on the Apple Podcasts, go ahead and drop that 5-star rating. And leave a comment and then let me know when you do so. That way I can give you a special shout out on the show. Folks, I said at the top of the show, Jon Moxley. Am I supposed to believe that MJF is going to beat him this Saturday at All Out? I was sitting here and I was putting together the show and I said, I'm going to just talk about that right away. We saw that Moxley had to face one of MJF's lackeys, for the lack of a better word, at the end of the night. And, I understand the stipulation, you got to face my guy, and it's just a setup. And we saw that MJF and his goons beat up Moxley. But wrestling history has always told me whoever is left out for the 90% of the time, whoever is left in the middle of the ring is usually the one going up. Now, full disclosure, I learned this long before I cared to admit that wrestling was predetermined. And I remember during the Attitude Era, I would see every time Stone Cold Steve Austin would get ready for a big match, he was always the last one laid out on the Monday Night Raw. And then what happens? He goes on to the pay-per-view and wins, retains the championship. Same with The Rock. And that formula has continued. There are exceptions to the rule. Randy Orton was laid out a few times with Drew McIntyre, even with Kofi Kingston, and he still lost. So, but I just don't see MJF doing it. Now, I will say this does make it interesting as to who's going to win the Battle Royal, the Casino Battle Royal coming up. I was going to talk about this later, but, I'll get into it now. You got some, some heavy hitters. I really liked the exchange of promos that they had going on. You had Jake the Snake. You had, who was the other guy? It wasn't Tully. Yeah, it was, no, it was somebody. Oh, Taz. Yeah, you had Taz. And then you had Eddie Kingston come out there. And next thing you know, you had an all-out brawl. My gut tells me Eddie Kingston could win this thing. But then again, I just got Lance Archer, and I'm just thinking, Moxley's going to win the title. More than likely, Lance Archer. And I think it's not an immediate shot because, all out. If I'm not mistaken, somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. To me, it seems like this is their WrestleMania. They got the red carpets. You got Friday, you got AEW Dark. Saturday, you got the preliminary matches, and then all this stuff. So I'm thinking, maybe they're treating this like it's a WrestleMania. And I could be wrong, but who knows? But let's move on to the WWE, So now it's all settled. Roman Reigns is your brand new Universal Champion. He's also with Paul Heyman. And you saw him take a shot at Twitter where he told somebody basically, you always got my name in your mouth, just swallow it or whatever. And me personally, I like it. I want to know, where do they go from here? Where does Roman go? Who's next in line? You think about who could possibly challenge him. We talked about, I've seen a lot of discussion where people want to see Big E challenge him, right? They want to see, Big E and Roman. They want to see Roman and, Big E get that opportunity. I want to see it, but I want to see that slowly build. I don't want to see Big E rushed into the main event right now. I want to see, Roman take out Braun Strowman again. I want to see him take out The Fiend. I want him to look so strong. I want him to look stronger than he's ever looked before. That way, when Big E does take him out, it's a bigger win. It's a bigger victory. I think about who else could be out there. AJ Styles is a heel. Daniel Bryan, you can have Daniel Bryan come back and come up short. Obviously, a lot of people are saying The Rock, the money matchup, Roman and Rock. At this point, Roman to me, has to go over. There's no point in The Rock beating him unless, it's a back and forth. But this isn't really one of those type of deals. So, this is so good because I haven't been so excited for SmackDown in a while that I want to see what's going to happen. I want to see how Roman is going to handle this, how he's going to react. Will he talk? Will he not talk? He is, to me, finally the Universal Championship is on somebody who is believable of opening and closing the show. Sure, The Fiend was a good champion, but he was also, a character, a gimmick. I want to see what's going to happen. It's been a while. You look back, The Fiend brought the title to SmackDown, right? Then Goldberg won it. Well, he was part-time. That's when, it was supposed to be Roman and Goldberg. Then after that, it was The Fiend and, it was Braun Strowman. Well, Strowman got hit with the pandemic, and that's unfortunate for him. Shout out to my boys, Glenn, Corey, and Champ Creed. They were discussing this on their show, the Wrestling Marks of Excellence, which you can find on all podcast platforms as well. They were saying Vince McMahon got his shiny new Roman bag, so he cast Braun Strowman aside. And I think that's exactly what happened. Why? You don't want to play with Strowman no more. So this is gonna be interesting. I want to see how this plays out. In the end, I want to see Roman Reigns have a long run. I think this is your champion going into WrestleMania. This is gonna be one of them type of runs, folks. It just is. That SummerSlam to WrestleMania run. I can't think of one I've seen that went that long. Obviously, Bret Hart went from SummerSlam to the Survivor Series, and then Triple H, technically the night after SummerSlam, he went all the way to Backlash. Well, he did, but he didn't. He had that. No, actually, he did lose it twice, but they ain't really count. Triple H was the guy from SummerSlam to Backlash, with losing it to Vince and the title being vacated, getting it back, losing it to Big Show. So only time will tell what happens there. As far as the WWE Championship is concerned, Monday Night Raw triple threat match was Randy Orton victorious over Seth Rollins and Keith Lee. Seth Rollins took the pin. I thought this was a way WWE calls himself protecting Keith Lee. The word on the street is that he is due for a big push. Vince is impressed. A lot of people wonder, well, why can't he take his shirt off? He took it off in NXT. Why can't he take it off on Raw? Still USA Network, right? So that's interesting. But I'm very excited about him being up there. I want to see what happens with him. It's a hit or miss thing. We've seen big guys, but we haven't seen, Mark Henry says that he has that big man magic. He brings that big man magic back. But we've seen so many bigger black guys fail than succeed. You know, Ezekiel Jackson is one of them. So what's going to happen? Can this guy be a WWE champion? Only time will tell. You know, I said before, if they want to make WrestleMania blackety black, 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 it will be Big E winning the WWE Universal Championship, Keith Lee winning the WWE Championship, and Sasha Banks winning the SmackDown Women's Championship. That's if WWE wants to make it blackety black, black, black. But I doubt that will happen. So, but you know, it's still interesting to see what's going to happen with him. This past Tuesday, NXT was on Tuesday, and it will be next week. We saw a fatal 4-way Iron Man match. Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole, and the guy who I was rooting for, Finn Balor. Finn Balor and Adam Cole were tied. Balor had got the pin that he needed over Ciampa, and then right before the time expired, Adam Cole came in and got the 1-2-3 on Balor. So we'll get that match next week. Some people liked it, some people didn't. I didn't hate it. I wanted to see a clear-cut winner. I wanted to see Balor win. So when Balor got that win, I was like, yes, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. But then Adam Cole came in. So I think this will be a good one-on-one match. Obviously, we're going to watch. But this will, I think it's, I would say 80% sure that Finn Balor will become the new NXT champion. I don't see Adam Cole winning it again. Yeah, sure, he could be NXT champion, and he could, but he had the title so long. I think this is going to get Finn Balor going again. And as he becomes, you know, he's going to be the guy who takes NXT into that next gear. And as well as with him being champion, like I said at the beginning, WWE kind of putting things back, kind of having things, I don't want to say the way they should be, but kind of going with established veterans and then letting them carry the torch. Finn Balor's established with the NXT brand. Roman Reigns, obviously, he's established. Drew McIntyre is established, but having a Randy Orton will give him that solidification, because I believe Drew McIntyre will beat Randy Orton at Night of Champions, and then that will be that very solid win in this championship reign. I could be wrong though. But let's go ahead and take the first break. We're gonna take the first break. I forgot which one did I have loaded up in here, because I want to make sure I call it out. Oh, well, you know, before the Survivor, right after SummerSlam, I was joined on this show by my brothers, the real Dwayne Allen, and then my brothers from the Flex Zone, Andre Melton, Damaris Dye, and Roger Herron. And we all discussed how we felt about Roman coming back. Now, mind you, this is before we knew he was aligned with Paul Heyman. This is actually 5 days before we knew. But I'm going to run that clip. And if you haven't checked out our SummerSlam post show, so it's a few timeless. It's a great conversation we had. So I urge you to check it out. Here it is. Roman Reigns is back.
Okay.
How do you feel?
No, I think it's a good move. The WWE is desperately in need of star power. I think the WWE is at a phase right now where they've taken the approach of, let's try to start to make new stars. Let's try to push some of these younger characters just to get people familiar, especially during a downtime like this, with everything they had going on with the Thunderdome, the approach, and even the main event itself with Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. I think seeing Roman is going to help boost what they're trying to do next. But it was a good way to bring him back, you know, in a way that was special, not just him just popping back up saying, I'm back. So
well, it wasn't bad. I don't know if it was a heel turn or not, because he did attack both guys, but it might be Roman just being in the middle. But it was good for what it was. To Dwayne's point, they need star power. I think a lot of us do miss Roman, miss what he brought to the table. I actually like the shirt he had on as well, and for what it was, to end out the show, it did its job.
I thought it was cool. He came back. I did miss him. I
What?
thought he had nice. I did. I'm like, y'all, I don't hate Roman Reigns. I really don't. I thought what he did at WrestleMania was phenomenal. I enjoyed every bit of it, of him not being there. It was great. And I'm glad that he's healthy. I'm glad that he's back. I just wish it was tomorrow night.
You didn't see that coming because I didn't think Roman Reigns was coming back for a while.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I mean, when they said never saw it coming, I figured something would be like Sister Abigail into the picture, but I didn't see Roman Reigns.
Dre, we all know you was hoping it was CM Punk.
No.
Oh, the chump. What do you mean, CM Chump?
Waste of money.
The chump ain't coming back.
I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast right here on YouTube. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification. That way you're notified each and every time we come on. I usually come on after the big shows. And obviously every Wednesday the show is recorded to be set to go for you guys on Thursday, whether it's Thursday morning. Some people catch the show as soon as it drops. I might, they catch it at Thursday, Wednesday night around 11:50. So it all depends. I find that sometimes I go live, to be honest with you. Sometimes I just like to record it, make sure everything's in order. So, let's move on to Monday night. Well, let's talk about the women, Sasha and Bayley, and I was doing some thinking, right? And some listening. Like I said, I was listening to my brothers over at the Wrestling Marks of Excellence, and Corey brought up a good point, and I have to elaborate on that. And I texted him. I said, "Man, you are absolutely right. WWE blew that load with Sasha and Bayley. That feud could have went a little bit longer. We saw them brag about being the tag team champions, but my problem was that while we were getting used to them being champions and while we was getting used to Sasha having that Raw Women's Championship, they were still trying to outdo each other. What do I mean? There was never a point in time where they had a genuine love and just a genuine love with no jealousy. If you go back to when this all started, this started with Sasha Banks saying she was jealous of Bayley because Bayley had a belt. And then that would lead to Sasha challenging and eventually winning the Raw Championship. Now, they would pick up the tag team titles, but why not? And some people say it's overkill, but no, why not let Sasha lose her championship at Night of Champions? And then in October, maybe even at the Survivor Series, they lose the tag titles. You could have really extended this long where you're building to the point they love each other so much that they're making it all about those two being equals and the titles are equal, and then slowly but surely start peeling away where the jealousy factors, because every time they both had the belts, they was constantly, well, you're going to face the hardest person on the roster, well, you're going to face this person. And that's why I feel like they did blow the load. I had to give credit to Corey because I was thinking it, and my brother was on the same page as I was. So that's where I am with that. But nonetheless, they don't have the tag titles. They don't have the women's Sasha doesn't have the women's championship. Now they could regain the tag titles. That's not out of the picture. And the reason why is because how long do we really expect Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler to be champions? This is a different scenario, but it kind of reminds me of the Undertaker and Kane winning the tag titles, right? When they beat Mankind and Kane, Undertaker and Stone Cold winning the tag titles when they beat Mankind and Kane. Yes, Mankind and Kane were a tag team. They weren't like best friends like Sasha and Bayley, but they were both united by Paul Bearer. And then they eventually got the titles back, even though Kane would align himself up with The Undertaker. The reason why I said that is because even though they were kind of a makeshift tag team that lost the titles to a team that didn't like each other, they eventually got them back. So I'm not saying it won't happen. We just saw that the WWE broke up the Iconics, so I'm wondering where you go with women's tag team. I don't know why the Iconics broke up. I guess it was time, though. I would have liked to see them get another run. Personally, that's why I would have rather Sasha and Bayley drop the titles to again, if anybody. But they, nonetheless, they just lost the championship. I mean, they lost on Monday to Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, a team that people was really trying to figure out, okay, are they really putting them back together? Do these ladies even like each other? Can they trust each other? But the Iconics are broken up, and immediately we saw them go to, because, you know, they're still going to be buddies, right? Still going to be friends. But we saw them go to Raw Underground, and it was faced with Billy Kay just got decimated by Maria Shafir and Jessamine Duke. It was ridiculous. She had no business in the Raw Underground with them. And then we saw the iconic picture that Shane McMahon, which eventually did make its way around the internet as a meme, where Shane McMahon took a picture with Peyton Royce, and people said this is what the creepy fans look like. They don't put on deodorant that when they hold these wrestlers. So don't be that fan, folks. Look, no, none of that. Just stop it. Whew. But Mickie James, she was the number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship. Don't believe she have a chance. I don't think Mickie James has another championship reign in her. I hope to be wrong, but I just see Asuka going on this path of dominance. Possibly, to be honest with you, she could go on this path of dominance until either they really open up their eyes and see what they have in a Bianca Belair, or if they know whether or not Becky Lynch is coming back. Now, it's kind of hard with Becky because Becky is somebody. She's pregnant and she's going to be a mother. And that's not just something, okay, you have a baby, you get back in the ring. It's not fair for anybody to ask a woman to do that. So I don't see Becky coming back, honestly. I mean, I could be wrong. Seth Rollins is probably on his way home, as he was, you see him kind of separating and kicking Buddy Murphy out. You also saw that he was the one who took the pin. So we knew he wasn't going to win the number one contendership. Him and Drew McIntyre, we've been there already. So I do see Seth Rollins kind of making his way towards the exit, and he deserves it, bottom line. I'm not sure how many months Becky's pregnant, but, she just announced it over the summer. So obviously she's not in her third trimester, but Seth Rollins going to be a father. He's probably going to want to be there for everything. NXT next week, Super Tuesday return. I brought that up earlier. We will see Mercedes Martinez taking on Rhea Ripley in a cage match. Now, Mercedes Martinez, Rhea Ripley, and Gonzalez. I forgot her first name. It escapes me right now. All down there in NXT. You have different type of women, and I think it's great because what you have here is somebody who will, you got different, you don't have that prototypical same type of WWE superstars, and that right there is the best part, right? You're not doing the same thing. You're not, okay, we're going to have somebody who's 5'5", 5'7", 150 pounds. No, or 120 pounds. No, you do have these women who can roll with the best of them, and this is going to be great. Rhea Ripley lost the NXT championship. A lot of people, there was discussion, and when she lost it to Charlotte, there could have been visa issues. That's why they took the title off of her, but clearly she's back. She's working. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her get that championship back before the year is out. Last year, she had an incredible run. And it's unfortunate she really didn't get the run with the championship, but Io Shirai is doing a great job. I do see her losing it soon, though. I don't need any more Asuka or Shayna Baszler runs. Quite frankly, it's just we don't need it. I enjoyed the Sasha Banks, the Charlotte, the Bayley runs that we did get. But yeah, I don't need those long, lengthy title runs anymore. It's just why? You got all that talent down there. It's no need to go there. And then speaking, moving over to what's that pay-per-view? AEW. We saw, speaking of women, we saw Thunder Rosa making her AEW debut. She will challenge this Saturday for the Women's Championship, but she had a tune-up match against the legendary Serena Deeb, and which Thunder Rosa obviously was victorious. She is the NWA Women's Champion, a championship, quite frankly, that is prestigious, that Jazz never lost, but nonetheless, you look at people, your Allison Kay's who's had it, and I think she may beat Allison Kay for it. I could be wrong though, but nonetheless, she's doing a great job holding that championship. Could she become a double champion? Only time will tell. And then also rounding it out, over at NXT, he's former NXT superstar, another former NXT superstar over at Impact. We saw that Deonna Purrazzo recently became their women's champion, and now Eric Young has defeated Eddie Edwards to become their brand new Impact champion once again. This place just works for Eric Young. I was really upset because I wanted to see Sanity work out. I thought Sanity would have been very entertaining. I hate to say stuff like this, folks. I just don't think they had the right people writing for them. At the end of the day, I don't think they had the right people writing for them where they could reach their full potential, where they could be entertaining, and that's where I think they messed up. So I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to give my AEW predictions for All Out, and then I'm gonna go around the net. But you may know I have another podcast called Breaking Through the Glass Ceilings. I recently launched another addition to that, another segment called Breaking Through the Glass Ceilings with Uncomfortable Conversations. So far, I've talked about the NCAA needs to stop football. I talked about UNC having a clusterfuck on their hands when they did not allow, when they allowed too many students back and students contracted COVID-19. And then I also talked about what it's like to be a black man in America. Well, this past week, I dropped an episode where I sat down with my grandfather and we discussed the history of sports activism. And here's a clip from that show where he discusses how, as a 78-year-old man, he was proud of LeBron James and the NBA players as well as the WNBA players for using their platform. I'll be back after this. As somebody who's been on this earth, you can reveal your age if you want to. How did it make you feel to see these athletes take this type of stand?
Well, it made me feel good. I'm 78 years old, excuse me, and I've seen a whole lot. It made me feel good to see the black athletes and even the white ones who are standing with them to stand up about things that are happening. You know, I was sitting here thinking, yesterday they celebrated Jackie Robinson Day, and which is great because Jackie stood up for a lot. And also, it's good to see these guys who are standing up and saying enough is enough and we're tired. And the only way to do this is to step aside and say, I'm just not going to play. If you go back further, years and years ago, a young man by the name of Curt Flood did that, and he really was out there on his own. And, of course, it's a different situation, but it's still the same because Curt Flood stood up for free agency, and he was out there by himself. I'm glad to see that these athletes are stepping up. You know, Brian, I go back and I often tell my wife, and I told my two daughters, when Donald Trump was running for president, when he made the speech, I'm going to make America great again, right away I started thinking he wanted America to go back like it was in the 30s and 40s, where we had no say-so, where if you spoke up, you were sort of kicked out of the ramification. My hat is off to these black athletes. I'm proud of them, and I'm sure some of the older athletes who played in the major leagues or NFL or NBA before them is proud of them too.
All right, I'm back, folks. So make sure you check out that. Just search Breaking Through the Glass Ceilings. I usually speak to a lot of my friends about their journey in sports this week. I have my good friend Keisha Swafford, a sports YouTuber and broadcaster, who will come on to discuss her career. But last week I had my friend Chanapa on. So not only do I have those conversations, but also I have conversations with my friends about their journeys to success. So AEW this Saturday is All Out, and it's going to be exciting. I think it's a solid pay-per-view or a solid show. Looking forward to it. I'm looking at the card. It seems solid. I'm gonna start off. You got Britt Baker taking on the Big Swole, and that match is it's going to be on. It's called a tooth and nails match. Big Swole says she's gonna go to her job and beat her tail. We saw Big Swole get beat up by Britt Baker and company during an interview on Wednesday's night's AEW Dynamite. But I think Big Swole gets the win here. Yeah, this will be Britt Baker's return. But let's face it, she's established. They need to get Big Swole established, and a victory right here, this will do it for her. She and Lil Swole, they came up short in the tag tournament, but I think this is a great rebound, so I got her winning this. But that match will take place in the buy-in. That's what it's called, the buy-in, the match where you can find it on YouTube before the official show starts. In a Mimosa match, we got Chris Jericho taking on Orange Cassidy. Again, why isn't Chris Jericho the AEW champion? I can see him not having that run from the beginning till now, but I think the strap needs to be back on him. He's the most entertaining, the most innovative, and when his music hits, I guarantee you, if they was in arenas, people would be screaming. They would be screaming, and I would play it, but I know my computer may take forever to pull it up, so I ain't even gonna try. But it's it's definitely it's a song that I keep rocking in my vehicle. So, but I got Jericho winning this one for some strange reason. You would think Orange Cassidy. You know what? No, I'm gonna take it back. I think Cassidy wins this. I think Jericho puts him over. I think Cassidy has a good showing, and this will help get him to another level. This will put him up, I think, 2-1 on Chris Jericho. And then we got Sam in another match, a grudge match. Sammy Guevara taking on Matt Hardy. Hardy has vowed that if he loses, he will leave AEW. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think Matt Hardy's run as a professional wrestler is coming slowly but surely to an end. Maybe he'll return as a different persona, but this is a broken match. But I do think I think Sammy G wins this. I think Matt Hardy, you'll see him doing more behind the scenes or more stuff in creative. We have the Casino Battle Royal. I mentioned it earlier. Part of me wants to pick Eddie Kingston. I feel like he's been the loudest, but then again, Lance Archer's right there. I feel like it's a lot invested in him. And to me, he just seems like that typical big man that wins a battle royal. And then for the women's championship, we got Shida taking on Thunder Rosa, defending the AEW Women's Championship. I think Shida wins. It's hard for me to really see Thunder Rosa coming into AEW with the NWA Championship and then winning the AEW Women's Championship. I just don't see it. I don't. We'll have the Young Bucks taking on the Jurassic Express. The Young Bucks get a win here. I think they're slowly but surely getting some momentum, and they will be soon propelled to the tag team championships. I think this right here actually may make them a number one contenders, or at least give them a reason to vouch for that championship. And then we have the Dark Order taking on the Natural Nightmares. I'm going to be honest with you. I see a Dark Order winning. They are getting hot and hotter. This right here is the solid victory they need. You got Mr. Brody Lee, who's in charge, aka Mr. McMahon, and I think he, really puts the pressure on them, and I think they get it. And the Natural Nightmares slowly but surely will become the natural jobbers. I'm just keeping it real. And then for the tag team championship, this match should be really good. You have Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page defending the championship against FTR, and I think this is it. This is where it happens. FTR becomes champions. Hangman has been kicked out of the Elite. And I looked at him, and I looked at Omega, and I got disappointed, folks, because I always go back to that press conference. And if I'm not mistaken, at that initial press conference, it was Adam Hangman Page versus Pac. And that was supposed to be the match. That was supposed to be the match that would determine who was going to be the first AEW champion. But nope. And then we noticed, I've been on and on in my soapbox about Kenny Omega. He's just somebody who 2 years ago or 3 years ago, he was the hottest prospect. Well, not even gonna say hottest prospect. One of the hottest free agents in wrestling. The guy that we just kept saying, man, get him to the E. But will the E use him right? Can't wait to see. Would love to see him in the WWE. But right now, he just looks like another person on the roster. They need to break up. This needs to happen. And then we need to see Kenny Omega slowly but surely get into that world title picture. The bottom line is, Kenny, nobody in the United States knows you the way they did in Japan. We want to see you. The wrestling fans want to be able to prove to the sports entertainment fans, to the fans who are just getting used to you. And we want to say, this is the guy we was talking about. This is the guy who you should tune in on Wednesday nights to see. And then last, but certainly not least, well, you know what? Yeah, it probably is least because it's quite simple. Jon Moxley defending the AEW Championship against MJF. There's absolutely, as my man Rob Parker would say, no way, no how. I see MJF walking away with the championship. As Vince McMahon would say, not a chance in hell. I hope I'm wrong, though. I would love to see the shakeup right here. Prove me wrong, AEW. Prove me wrong. MJF, AEW champion. Okay, we'll see. But folks, that is my predictions. We'll see. We'll see how it is. Maybe I'll do a show. Maybe I won't. Depends how much of the show I actually get to see on Saturday. But now it's time to go around the net. Around the Net, brought to you by B Waters Productions. If you're looking to get an event filmed or high quality pictures, you want professional quality, simply go on Instagram at B Waters Productions and visit www.brianhwaters.com to book B Waters Productions for your event. So, around the net, folks, make sure, like I said on the thing, make sure you contact B Waters Productions for any of your needs. I was on Twitter and I saw Drew McIntyre and Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury being a world champion in boxing. He did a match recently. Didn't he fight Brock? Yeah, I might be wrong. Wait, was that Tyson Fury? No, Braun Strowman. He fought Braun Strowman. But yeah, so he says challenge. He put a video challenge. He challenged Drew McIntyre to bring it, you greasy chump. He wants to face the champ. Well, McIntyre respond because that's what he does. I'm not one of the normal bums you pick to fight. I'm not some punching bag getting paid to turn up and lose. Nice timing, by the way. Even with a fractured jaw, I'm pretty confident I could do 12 rounds with your pillow fist. Nice try, King. You're WWE champion. So McIntyre wants to face Tyson Fury. Not really excited. I mean, him and Braun, they had a solid normal big man match overseas. But no, It's enough talent on the WWE roster that I want to see Drew McIntyre go against, and it's not Tyson Fury. Bad, sad news. Well, I don't say. Well, it's sad. The Rock and his family tested positive for COVID-19. Got the word shortly before, while I was getting ready for the show. So we definitely send our prayers up to him and his family. He did say, I believe there was articles saying that they were like in the last stages of it to the point they're not contagious. However, at the end of the day, folks, put on your mask. Put on your mask. If you're a wrestling fan, there are plenty of sites. They got masks out there that's got, you can rock a Hulk Hogan or a Macho Man or NWO mask. Put on your mask. This is just something we just don't know enough about. A lot of people think, okay, well, it's going to be over. It's just a fact. No, we don't know nothing about it. As somebody who works with medicine permanently, I ain't going to be full disclosure here. Full disclosure. Because I'm pretty sure nobody from my job listens to my show anyway. I almost didn't go on the air tonight. I almost didn't do a show because I've been so swallowed with COVID-19 content. But I said, nope, COVID's not winning this battle, buddy. So make sure you put on your mask. And speaking of COVID-19, Renee Young, she recently did a interview with Sports Illustrated indicating she was, she talked about testing positive for COVID-19, and she said to be transparent about everything, she did feel a certain way that how the WWE handled it, and this is what she says. On asked if she was bothered by WWE's reaction to her positive test. Like I said, this coming from Sports Illustrated. Make sure they're giving them their credit. Listen, anything I say on this is going to end up seeming like controversial or like I'm crapping on it or whatever. But yeah, I did feel a little slighted. I didn't feel like anyone was all that concerned that I got sick. That bothered me for sure. She went on to talk about how WWE handled COVID-19 in March and April. It was shocking. It was really shocking to see that this was deemed an essential business. That made it seem like, hold on a second here. I was not traveling for a while. I was doing stuff from home. I was like, I just don't need to be there. Especially when you look at what I was doing on the shows at the time. For me to fly from Las Vegas to Orlando, when you have Kayla Braxton, local in Orlando, you have Sarah Schreiber, local in Orlando, Charlie Caruso spending most of her time in Florida, there were hands on deck that didn't have to travel. So for me to feel like I had to actually still get on the plane and go was like, oh my gosh, for what? What am I doing here? It made me feel insane. So, she's obviously last week, Renee Young was, her last day was SummerSlam, and she's moved on with her career, or she's officially back to, if you look on Twitter, she's going by her shoot name, Renee Paquette. And I mentioned earlier that I had been a fan of hers long before the WWE, when she used to be on right after wrestling with Arthur O'Cal and Jimmy Corderas. So wishing the best for her. Unfortunately, she had to deal with that, and hoping, she's better now. Kayla Braxton revealed that she had it twice. So, we just got to be careful. You wash your hands, cover your faces. Let's stop this from spreading. Oh, man, I tell you the truth. And then last but not least, but folks, we talked about NXT and Super Tuesday. Well, guess what? The word on the street is NXT could permanently be moving to Tuesday. USA Networks, I always tell y'all it's about the networks. Y'all can think y'all know stuff, but it's always about the networks. The networks aren't necessarily concerned about competing with AEW on Wednesday nights. And they're not too happy about losing in the ratings anyway. So, why not move to Tuesday? So I believe that these Super Tuesday shows have kind of been a test, and then we'll see where they go from here. From a personal standpoint, give you my reaction, I'm excited. I think it would be better. I was able to watch AEW all the way through tonight. Now, I'll tell you that I probably won't be sitting down guaranteeing to have like wrestling nights because, to be honest with you, I don't, TNA or Impact comes on Twitch. And a lot of times I forget about it. So I don't just plan my evenings about, I'm going to sit here and watch Impact Wrestling. But if there's a big match, I'll probably tune in to NXT. I do plan my Wednesdays around wrestling because that's when I do the show. Mondays is sort of, but also if I'm tired, I'm going to sleep. Usually Tuesday nights, I make sure I get enough sleep because I know Wednesday is going to be a long evening. So with that being said, it will be cool because being able to, from a podcasting standpoint, I'll be able to watch NXT, whether I watch it on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning while working. Then I can watch AEW, and then boom, I don't have to miss out on certain things. I can watch the whole show. So I'll tell you, Impact will be affected, though. Bottom line, no doubt about it. Impact will be affected if this does happen. So we shall see. We shall see. But folks, that'll do it for this week's episode of Break It Down with Brian H. As always, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all the new followers, all the new listeners. I've been seeing, there's increase in traffic on the platform. So I really appreciate those people who have subscribed to the podcast. I can tell who subscribed. And then I appreciate those who out there on Twitter, following us on Twitter at Wrestling Realm and sharing it with your friends. Those out there who may not be into wrestling, but say, you know what? Brian is doing this, so I'm going to watch it. I'm going to let this play and just listen while I do what I got to do. I appreciate every one of you. For the people out there who don't scream about supporting the show, but you're listening, I appreciate you too. Thank you for taking time out of your day to sit here and listen to me talk about something that I've loved literally since birth, and that is professional wrestling. And then I thank you for also checking out my other podcasts as well. Until the next time, folks, I'm Brian H. Waters. And make sure, like I said, make sure you subscribe to the show. Follow us at Wrestling Realm. Follow the real Dwayne Allen, my brother right there. Until the next time, so long, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you get notified every time the Wrestling Realm posts new content.